Welcome back to Under Oath. Welcome back to Legally Screwed. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Like usual, sitting next to me is not only one of the funniest people I know,
I love you,
but one of the most caring, supportive, and friendly people I've ever met.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Could you imagine that?
I love that.
Put that on your stone one day.
I am going to put that on my stone.
Go.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question real quick before we get started.
Sure.
I've been doing Legally Screwed with you for a while now.
Yeah.
So when do you think I can actually be your number two in court?
Wow.
Yeah, come on.
Wow.
I've trained.
You know, I've read a lot.
Okay.
I've taken a lot of sensitivity training. Some voluntary, some court ordered.
Yeah.
Everyone watches TV.
We do.
And they think I'd make a great lawyer.
That's what I think.
It doesn't work like that.
Ugh.
The level of control you have to have when you're sitting there, because you're mad. You're mad the whole time. Because you're there because you believe the person sitting next to you is suffering an injustice.
Okay.
The person on the other side thinks that their person's suffering an injustice. So you have two people, and guess what? One of them's wrong.
Yeah.
One of them's wrong. And the sad thing is, every once in a while, it's you. So you don't get to go, you're out of order. None of that.
So I don't get to do any of that?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, what normally happens is you sit there and you go, okay, now I'll cross-examine this person. And you're concerned of the jury. There are 6 people who are deciding whether they like you or not. Not whether they think you're funny or entertaining.
Like you.
If they like you. And the big mistake people make is they fight and they fight and they fight. And the jury looks at them and goes, I hate this guy. And because I hate him, I hate his client. And you lose when you should have won because you weren't able to control who you are.
So I just learned something listening to you, Jeff, that you just disproved.
And you learn it through failure.
Got it.
You don't learn it through success.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, when I was first practicing, I won so much. And I thought I was invincible. And I thought everything I did was perfect.
Gotcha.
And then you get your ass handed to you.
That one time.
And you lie to yourself, oh, that's just one time. The more you fail, the more you learn.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Even when I won sometimes, but I realized I had screwed up, I go, don't do that again. Don't do that again. And every time something doesn't work out, I look at it and go, where's the benefit? And then I read and I see and I do. And if you sat next to me, you'd go, Jeff, you'd be grabbing my arm the whole time.
I would be.
I want to say this. I want to say this. I want to say this.
That'd be me.
And I'm going, you don't understand what we need. At the end of this, I have to prove these 3 things. And if the jury believes all 3 things, because the judge at the end is going to hand them a piece of paper and it's going to go, for example, let's say we're talking about a car accident. And the first thing the judge says was this person responsible for the accident? Okay, yes.
Okay.
Number 2, if you found number 1, that they are responsible, then B. If you didn't find them responsible, it's over. Sign here.
We're done.
Okay, so now you got to survive 1. Number 2, was this person's damages caused by the accident? Okay, not that he had these pre-existing conditions.
Got it.
Not that, I don't think he was hurt by the accident. Yes, the person caused an accident, but I don't think he was hurt by the accident.
Okay.
Now, if you find this person hurt, then if you don't find it, then he loses. Okay. Now, if you do find that the damages were caused by this, then 3. What are those damages based by actual costs, not your feelings and everything else like that?
Got it.
Now you have the 3rd part. And then at the end, how much?
Gotcha.
That's it. Now, the hard part about it is through the trial, you're trying to find out, they caused the accident, they did this. But if I don't prove that the damages were caused by this accident, or I spent so much time trying to prove you rammed into me that I didn't push this issue, then the jury gets to that second issue and they go, no.
Got it.
The word is called causation, that your problems were caused by the accident. And you're too busy slugging and trying to show certain things that you forget that there are other requirements that you have to prove. And that's when you get lost in it. And that's why you have to be very, very clear of your goals.
Gotcha.
Not being right or wrong, but being clear with every step. And then convincing that jury you satisfied every step.
And that's not easy.
Now, you will learn that. You learn that through multiple trials. You don't learn that in your first trial, your second trial, your third trial, your 4th trial, your 20th trial. You normally have to do, I would say, anywhere from 50 to 100 to figure out who you're supposed to be.
That's a lot. Wow.
And then you're constantly working to get better, unless you don't go to trial, and then you don't really care.
Gotcha.
So yes, no, I would never. I would allow you to watch a trial.
I would love that.
And I would love you to sit there and go, and afterwards, and I would ask you, I said, what do you think of that? What do you think of this?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what a good lawyer does. They always want somebody's opinion who's watching something. You go, Jeff, you kind of look like an a-hole. Okay, I got to bring that back.
Pull back. Yeah.
I got to pull back on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, nobody can just walk up and practice law.
But see, listening to everything you just said, you just proved something wrong that I learned in actual high school. You just told me that when you're a lawyer, a lot of it has to do with whether they like you or not. So life is a popularity contest.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
that's crazy. Yeah.
You also have to be very careful. People are prejudiced. They're racist. Jurors are racist. They say they're not. They're told, don't think of it. But I sat on one jury and I listened to what these people said.
What the other ones were saying?
And I was like, God, you racist bastards.
Wow.
They look at the person as he walks in and goes, oh, he did it.
And you're like, how do you know that?
Well, he just looks at, do you see the way he was looking at me? and first off, hot take. You do not know the rules. Oh, they're not supposed to talk about stuff. The judge, you hear it. They're not supposed to say anything. They don't stop talking.
Really?
You go in that back room, they're talking about everything.
Got it.
And I remember looking over at the bailiff. I'm going, we're not supposed to do this. Bailiff goes, hey, listen, I'm just supposed to make sure you stay in the room.
That's it.
I'm not supposed to. I can't say anything you said. Mm-hmm. I can't take anything back to the judge of anything that happened in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't stop talking. Oh, don't talk about the evidence till it's over. Every second they're talking about it.
Got it.
So don't believe the TV and all this other nonsense. People are going to do what they're not supposed to do.
For a fact, yes.
And there are some attorneys who depend on that.
Okay.
That's why they say things that they're not supposed to say. And when the judge goes, I want the jury to disallow that, and they ain't disallow nothing.
No.
That jury goes, oh, I heard that.
Yeah.
That guy's a murderer.
I've seen that before where the judge is like, all right, I want you guys to strike that from the record. Everybody forget it.
Nope.
You never forget.
You can't unforget it. I sat there once. I said to the judge, I want a mistrial. Judge, well, I don't think it. I gave them the instruction. Shut up. and there are judges who are looking at me right now. And guess what? You and I both know. You know how they act. You can't take it back. You just don't want to have to rewind this whole thing.
That's right.
And you're doing it because you don't want to have to do it over again. It's going to cost money. You don't want to look bad. And if you're a judge and you have a problem with what I said, and you haven't done what I just said, then I'm wrong. But you know you've done it. You've done it more than 20 times. Juries do not forget. They do not follow instructions. The only time they follow instructions is at the end when you hand them that little piece of paper. Nowhere on that little piece of paper goes, this didn't matter, and this didn't matter, and this didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's the way it works.
Gotcha. It is time for Legally Screwed, my friend. And we got a great situation going on because I've seen doctors do this.
All right.
Okay. In 2022, I started going to a local med spa for weight loss. Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Injections.
I'm down.
Okay.
Hold on. Started off at 244 in December. I'm 205 right now.
Come on. Yes. Congratulations. You look good, my friend.
I just wanted to live longer for my kids.
Hey, there you go. It's a great reason. A great reason. Well, I started going to that med spa with injections to get you lose some weight. Today, I went to the doctor's Facebook page, and there was a picture of the doctor doing a virtual visit with me. Now, I never signed any consent allowing my pictures to be taken or shared.
Me.
With him, the actual patient, and that doctor on the doctor's Facebook page. I only signed a consent stating that my info could be shared with my PCP. I never told anyone outside my husband or a couple close relatives and friends about what I'd done to lose weight.
Oof.
That's sticky. That's very sticky.
That's not sticky.
It ain't sticky.
That ain't sticky. That's super glue. That's cement.
Got it.
There is if you did not sign a waiver and you did not give permission, that's an absolute no-go.
Okay.
All right. Now everyone's going to say, get him $1 million.
Something tells me I can't get $1 million.
Depending on what state.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a sensitive jury, you get big money.
Okay.
You get a jury from the walk it off state, you ain't getting no money.
I love how you put that. That's very, walk it off.
Everyone knows the rules. First off, Did he do something wrong? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Second question is, what are your damages?
Ooh.
Remember, somebody could do something wrong, but you have to show you were injured.
I just thought of this.
And that could be emotionally too. That's not just physically.
Tell me if I'm wrong. My wife works in a doctor's office, so I hear a lot of different rules they have to adhere to. Let's say that. That's a HIPAA violation.
Normally that deals with records.
Well, here's what I mean. I didn't tell anyone that I was getting treated at your facility, and you just let everybody know that I was getting treated.
Well, is it a HIPAA violation, meaning that it dealt with records or information or...
Information.
And what kind of information? Is your private information that you were solely a client?
He was doing a virtual consultation with her.
I was a patient.
Yes, you're a patient.
I'm a patient. Is that enough to violate HIPAA? That's the argument you're going to have to make.
Do you think it could be?
I think it can be.
So do I.
I don't know if it violates directly HIPAA or your privacy rights or something else like that. Doctors have a certain code where they're not allowed to discuss their patients.
Correct.
So the issue is this, that part of when I go in there is that I have a client, I have a doctor-patient confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by you saying that I am your patient, when I got help, I went to a couple places. I don't want anybody. This is my privacy.
Yeah.
You know, let's make it worse.
Okay.
Penis doctor.
Ooh. Now, if my doctor, first off,
okay. Now imagine that's the video.
Yes.
And my face is on there.
Correct.
Jeff went to I've got a small penis doctor.
That's the best practice name ever.
I'm suing.
Yes.
But then the problem is this. When I sue, that means the whole jury is going to go, it's small penis Jeff.
Yeah. That's why
I don't need that.
That's why he's so angry.
I don't mean it.
Or it could even be darker than that. Imagine.
Okay, but here, we got to go to this level, everyone. Okay. What are my damages?
Yes.
And everyone's going, well, it was embarrassing. Okay, how much? How much is my embarrassment worth?
That's a great question.
And that's what a jury has to decide.
Okay.
Now, some people suffer mentally and they have to go see a therapist and everything else like that. I think it's a case you take. And I think for a doctor, he might write the check on his own, not his malpractice company.
Yeah.
Because malpractice would go, well, he did tell, but what are the damages? And they'll drag it out and they'll go and they'll say, well, so people think this way. Are you married? So what does it matter if you're not? All these variables come in on how you're going to be affected by a picture of you going to the small penis doctor.
But you just violated my privacy. That's basically.
Yes. It's clear that you did something you weren't supposed to do.
Yes.
But what are my damages? And that's where everyone goes, $1 million because they see a billboard. $1 million. No, it doesn't work like that. No. That's why my billboard just say injured. It's real easy. I'm not telling you, because when you come to me, go, what happened? I fell down. Are you hurt? No. I want $1 million. You don't get $1 million. Well, your billboard said $1 million. No, that person doesn't have legs.
No. Yeah, they had their legs taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying in a situation like this, yes, the rights are taken away. Report his ass to the medical board because they shouldn't be talking about your case where you're easily identifiable.
Correct.
Report it to the medical board and, go see an attorney, and the attorney's going to say, all right, well, how do you feel? Well, it just bothered me. Well, we have to file a lawsuit. I'll file a demand for you and I'll see. And a lot of times a doctor will go, yeah, I'll pull it. I'll do these things. But the problem is this, it's already out there.
It's out there.
It's already out there.
Yeah.
Like Hulk Hogan, for example, when people think of big cases, they think of Gawker.
I remember this.
And the Gawker case where he's having sex with his buddy's wife and she's filming it.
Yes.
You know how much he got paid? Stupid money. The verdict was like $160 million, or the judgment was like $160 million or something like that. Just ridiculous money. Even they went bankrupt and he got a portion of that.
Yeah, he didn't get all that. Yeah.
That wouldn't happen in Florida. You would never get that wouldn't happen like, let's say, Orlando. And it wasn't like a popular guy like Hulk Hogan. If it was me, I don't know, I'd probably, if I was lucky, a jury might give me $200,000.
Really?
If I was lucky. Because that's what juries do. Juries go, well, who cares if Jeff got caught on video having sex?
But because he's Hulk Hogan, he's a polarizing public figure.
Yeah, and then people could understand his loss, and they're going, yeah, it cost him this, it cost him this.
Because he could lose potential deals with revenue, sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So first off, again, everyone, it's very important. You can be done wrong and not be owed money. Two-prong test. Did somebody do something wrong? And what were your damages? And were damages caused by what he did wrong to you? It makes things easy for you. So in this case, I'm terribly sorry he did this to you. I would light him up. Gotcha. I would light him up.
There you go.
Because this is ridiculously embarrassing, and no doctor should know better. Oh, for my marketing, I embarrassed you.
Ooh.
That's a scumbag thing to do.
That is a scumbag thing to do.
Craig, we get a lot of questions about this. They said, listen, you guys practice law. You're running around doing all your stuff. You try cases in all these different states. Why do you do this?
Why?
Why?
Oh, well, I think we like to fight, right? I enjoy fighting, competing, having contests with other people. Like, I like playing games. I like trying to figure out if I can beat you or you can beat me. All of that is great stuff. I think for lawyers who are good at their job, they probably enjoy the competition.
I guess you have to enjoy your job. I mean, that makes sense. But here's the thing. Everyone thinks online, everything else, they go, you guys don't like each other.
Well, that's true.
Oh, come on. 28 years.
We don't like each other. Come on.
7,000 lunches.
We don't like each other.
7,000 lunches.
We don't like each other. I have invited you to my house countless times for Thanksgiving, for football games, for basketball tournaments, for birthday parties, the birthday parties of my children.
Yes. That was very sentimental.
And you never, ever, not once have you shown up at any of those things.
I would say not once. Like a handful.
So few that it's hard to remember.
You know
them.
what's going to happen.
What?
I'm going to say something or I'm going to do something, and then I'm one apologizing for 3 or 4 months. It just cuts out the middleman.
I don't mind that you don't go.
Okay.
But let's not pretend. Right. Let's not pretend like you like me and you're just not going.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I don't go to my own family issues.
Yeah, you don't like those people either.
It's not that I don't like them.
Of course it is. I know who you are, man. I know who you are.
I get bored.
Yeah, you get bored with people you don't like. That's what
I'm one of the only people who are honest. I think I'm one of the last honest Americans. I think I am. Yes. I will tell you to your face. Not really wanting to hang around 30 kids who are going to give me typhoid.
No. You have obligations.
No, you don't.
Okay. Yes, you do. Everybody has obligations.
No,
if you have relationships with people,
they need them.
You have obligations.
They only do it because they actually want you to be obligated to my stuff.
You mistake. You're one of those people. Oh, you can't handle me because I just tell it like it is. No, people can't handle you because you're rude.
No.
That's what's going on.
That's not really fair.
People don't like being treated rudely.
I'm not as accommodating as I can be. That doesn't mean I'm rude.
That's exactly what that means.
No, it doesn't, because nobody really wants to go to some kid's party.
Yeah.
No.
I get that.
Did
but
you just
go
get
anyway.
sick because of that? You just went to a party, a germ spreader party with these little...
But you got to go.
No, I don't.
You got to go. Yes, you do.
I don't. I really don't. And here's the thing. I think we should be brave. I think we could choose bravado over politeness.
No, you run from everything. What are you talking about?
Run from it. I don't go.
You would show up.
I just don't go. I don't run from it.
That's not brave. How's that brave?
Being honest.
I'm not going to go.
I'm honest with you. I look at you. I said, listen, Craig, how many times have I obligated you to events? Maybe 5 in 28 years? I mean, really think about it.
Because you don't like me.
I do like you. I don't invite
anybody. If you liked me, you would invite me to more things.
No,
when are you going to invite me over to watch the 4th of July on Lake Eola? You have the perfect setup. You've been living there 4 years, maybe longer.
5 years. Yeah.
You know how amazing that would be to watch the 4th of July?
It is amazing.
From you. Yeah, I know it is.
It's amazing.
When have you invited me?
Oh, come on.
Come on, what?
You know it's not about that.
Well, it's not. Yeah,
I don't invite anybody, but nobody comes over.
I'm your partner for almost 30 years. Okay. I would think that if anybody was going to get an invite, it would be me.
When was the last time I threw a party?
You don't throw parties. That's fine.
When was the last time I had a birthday party?
I'm not blaming you for not throwing parties.
Did I invite you over, force you to eat the rubber chicken? I didn't do that. I don't do that to people. Everyone has that party. I turned 50. You got to have the big party.
Because you don't want to be bothered with throwing it. You don't want to have to, oh God, I got to invite people. I got to make sure there's food. I got to make sure there's music. I got to make sure there's alcohol. I got to make sure everybody has a good time. You just don't want to deal with it. So your way is just like, hey, I'm doing everybody a favor by not throwing this party. No, you're doing yourself a favor.
I don't like obligating. I like giving back to people. I like doing good things for people. I don't like forcing people to do things because I don't want to be forced to do things. I actually took crap, and I'm going to take crap over this part right here.
As long as you know.
I have a niece or nephew, so if you're going to complain, I didn't. She had a second marriage, second wedding, okay? And I had another event. I was doing Comic-Con that I had. And my mother and sister were go, I can't believe you didn't show up. I'm going, first off, it's a niece or a nephew.
Okay.
I did have something
You already had the plane reservations.
I had everything. Yeah, we had people, booked. we had staff, we had everything.
Yeah, and
I couldn't get from San Diego to wherever.
Well, and not to stick up for you because I hate doing that, but you weren't going to the comic thing just to attend it.
No,
I had books. Were a participant. You were selling your books. Yeah.
I'm selling, signing, I'm
Yeah. You know, anyone that gave you a hard time for not going to that one.
I mean, that's a very expensive event to be able to pull off.
Yeah, of course.
And it would have been, and I'm not saying it was a second wedding, but I mean, come on. I mean, the first one.
You're not saying it was a second wedding. It was definitely a second wedding.
It was a second wedding. But I mean, the point was, it doesn't carry the same prestige as the first one.
I agree.
I mean.
Were you at the first one?
No. But all right, let's look.
Do we have a topic?
Yeah, we have a topic.
Okay.
Let's see what this one is.
We could go on just to our personal life. I'm sure.
I know.
Fascinating
people love that, and they go, you know, Jeff seems a lot nicer in the commercials. Okay. I was denied a routine mammogram because I wouldn't consent to the use of my photos or video for media publicity. The clinic said they would only provide care if I signed full consent form without removing that clause.
I think we're missing something.
No. It seems like this business requires you to be like...
I will bet you money that particular organization was doing the mammograms for free. And they were only going to do it to people who agreed, hey, we got to be able to, you know, we want to, if we're doing this nice thing for people in the community, we want to be able to show the faces of people in the community who came to our clinic. Hey, here's some of your neighbors. Here's some of the friends and family members from your very small town. Look, they trusted us with this very important thing. You can trust us too. So yeah, I get that if they weren't charging for it.
Okay. So in the scenario where they're not charging and the charge for it is you giving up your rights. Okay, I understand that. But I don't have that fact right now. I can only assume that businesses are doing what everyone does right now. They want to put that face out there. Like, this person got me $5 million.
I think in the mammogram, that's not the face that they're trying to put out there.
Well, no. Have you ever seen a mammogram? There's nothing, you don't want to see any of that. There's like a machine that pushes down. It ain't great. They have to have a better way to do that. You would think with technology, the way it exists, NVIDIA needs to improve their chips.
We can put a guy on the moon, but we can't figure out a better way to do that test.
Oh, the finger and the mammogram. These are two things that they need to work on.
Your right to your likeness, basically, is what you're talking about there. And that lady's upset that as a condition of her getting the test, that seems weird. That can't be in.
Actually, I think there's a way around this. Doctor says, listen, it's the way we do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to be one of our patients. Now, if I'm forced to treat you, that's different. But if I'm not being forced to treat you and I'm just a doctor and you came to me, I said, well, our policy of our practice is to do this. Yeah. And if you don't want to be if you don't want me to do it and you want some other doctor, that's fine. Go.
Yeah, I agree with you. But if she has to go to that clinic or that set of doctors because that's who her insurance company says she has to go to, then I don't think that they can withhold the treatment based on her refusal to give up her image. That seems like that would be actionable if that was the scenario.
I had a doctor who, when I had this thing on my eye, and they take out the camera, and I'm going, no, I'm not. I don't want to be part of your portfolio here, and
I don't want the pamphlet.
They kept pushing it and pushing. And finally, the doctor says, listen, I don't do it unless you do this. He goes, well, I said, listen, I do not authorize you to use me as your advertising. And we had a fight over it. We really did. I mean, not a fist fight, but I mean, I finally said to him, I said, listen, how can you do this where I am unrecognizable? Because I do a show, I do this, and I don't want to be on your website. I don't want any part of your advertising. And he was offended that I didn't want to be part of his advertising. And I think that's BS. And I think that the world we live in right now, because of the internet and everything else, everyone feels that everything needs to be online 24/7. And I know what it's like. I put a lot of my personal stuff out there, but you have to if you're running a business. But I think there's a certain privacy to medicine. Like, I don't put on the details of my clients' cases or say, this guy told me this, because I have a duty not to release this. But I guess certain clinics and everything else are saying, hey, we do what we want to do.
So if your wife went to that doctor, what would you tell her?
I'd say, you want to go to a
Jeff, this doctor's making me sign something.
Do you want to go to a different doctor? That's the only thing I could say to her. go to a different doctor. And she would go, I love this doctor. Well, this doctor will only do it if you take the picture. You got to make a decision. In this case, I would, if a doctor says this to me and they try to force me to do something and I am that uncomfortable, go find another doctor. That's the only way to work. Now,
what is the limiting principle on that? If
privacy,
if you take it the next step,
HIPAA.
Next step.
Your
Hey,
records.
listen, I'm not going to treat any of my patients unless they agree to participate in my advertising. That's step number 1, right? Step number 2, what's the next one? I'm not going to treat you unless you allow me to share your details with everybody.
Exactly.
The exact procedure that I did. I want to be able to use you if I want to teach this at schools, colleges, other clinics. Can they do that? Is there a limitation? And does the Hippocratical oath come in here at all? Aren't you supposed to want to help people and treat them and not worry first and primarily about your advertisement? This is a doctor putting his practice and his business ahead of a patient's need for medical care.
Oh, really? You mean people do things for money?
That's not surprising by itself, but for a doctor, isn't that surprising? I mean, of all the professions,
you think doctors? How many times have? Hold on, we have deposed many doctors. Not always great people. Oh, I went to medical school. I'm a great person. No, you're not. You're a regular person who went to medical school.
Yeah, but to withhold your skill and your training,
bad people,
because the patient won't do something you want,
i.e., bad people. They exist everywhere. Doctors, lawyers, judges, everywhere. You and I have sat there and watched some of the worst people in the world with very, very, very important jobs. I mean, hell, presidents, senators, House of Representatives. I mean, come on. You've seen the nutcases who work for the House of Representatives. I mean, we all have. These people have no problem showing how bad they are. Yeah. So when it comes down to it, there are bad people everywhere. Medicine is a business. Law is a business. So one of the questions we asked earlier in the show was, why do we do the show? Well, part of it is advertising. Part of it is promotion. And there are people out there who will go, I didn't like your show, so I'm not hiring you.
Can you imagine the scenario where we tell somebody, hey, I think I could do a great job for you, but I'm not going to represent you unless you let me put your face on a billboard. I'm probably the only, let's imagine there's a scenario where we're the only attorneys that could probably get a great result for you on this case. But we're not going to take your case unless you let us put your name and face on a billboard.
Actually, it's kind of a crime for attorneys, well, at least in criminal, to be able to monetize off of somebody else's issue. Some states have ethical issues that don't allow you to take the person's story and sell it and write a book about a case.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that Florida?
Not Florida. Not Florida.
We're okay.
Today we have actor, singer, musician, and horse serenader, because I actually watched that video.
I see that.
Gary Dourdan.
How are you?
Now, the problem with social media is every time I do a deep dive into a guest, I get the weirdest things. And the other day, the hottest video you have right now is you actually serenading a horse.
Yes. I was talked into it by the horse.
So the question is that your horse, or you just happen to be hanging out at a farm?
No, she's not my horse. I have a friend for many years who actually was a friend who helped me get sober. Her name is Claire, and she rescues horses, and that is her calling in life. And I've met a lot of other actors through her as well. She used to run one of the group meetings that we used to go to, but she, in her day job, is rescuing horses, primarily from the American government. They round up wild Mustangs and they put them in kill pens. And so she does her due diligence with a team of people. She's raised money. She has some land in Oregon. She has some land in California. And she rescues these horses at the either from being rounded up in kill pens or people who can't care for them anymore. And they've gone over that stage in life where they're just out to pasture, and she gives them an opportunity to just graze and deal with all the pains and the aches that go on from being misused and mistreated and overworked. So I go and visit her, and I was at some point I was feeding the horses and caring for them which is not easy work. People have glorified the cowboy, but boy, that ain't easy work. You know,
No,
you're
I
up
can't even imagine
before dawn and you're shoveling a lot of crap, you know. But it is very fulfilling because the energy from these beautiful, beautiful beings is bar none. Very healing energy. So it was a cyclical healing thing that we were doing. And I found it's been a difficult last year. It's just a lot of emotional things going on, a lot of things in the world happening. And I didn't realize that it was affecting me to the extent that it was. So spending time with her and these magnificent beings was very healing for me. But she also was able to let me know that it was helping the horses if I came to play music for them, which I used to do years ago, but I hadn't done in such a long time. And you could see from the video that it was a good experience for the horses as well.
Before we get into talking about The Lost Princess, which is your newest project, friendships are difficult. And you just mentioned this woman. I find out when things are tough in my life, I get to really know who the friends are in my life, who the people who really matter to me and who weren't just there during the good times. And I know you've gone through a little bit, how important it is for you to remind those people how important they were to you.
It's really important. I think you said it right there. My father would call them fair weather friends, of course. And, they're around where everything's going good and everything is fun and the weather is fair. But the minute that you hit some challenges and some difficulty, they disappear on you. The people that I know them, I can count them on my fingers, that had either stayed tried and true or who revealed themselves to understand whatever difficulty that I was going through and to be there for me are solid, true blue people in my life, and they still maintain to be so. And I'm very, very grateful. I feel that I'm full of abundance because of people like this. It's also taught me a lot about how to be towards people and to not judge whatever someone's going through, and to always be that kind of person. I aspire to be that kind of person in people's lives because everyone is going through something, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I think it's the problem I've had is a lot of people come to me for help, and mental health has become such a tragic thing over the last 10 years. And it's just like an avalanche of it. And I've lost a lot of good people that I couldn't help. You'll be with somebody for weeks and weeks and weeks, and that one day you're not there or you don't speak with them. The next day you get that call. And watching somebody like you go up and down that mountain as many times as you have has to be an inspiration to a lot of people out there who might be suffering and who might go, hey, listen, it's not over. I can get over this.
I hope so. I really do. I certainly hope so. Every now and then I'll hear from someone, they say stuff like, I was praying for you. But I think every now and then I also hear from people who go, you inspire me because I'm going through this. Hey, I'm 20 days sober. Hey, and I reach out to them immediately. I hope that I have, that is an inspiration for them and that they can see through whatever journeys that I've been on, that it's not impossible, that one day will be different the next day. It's always going to be different. What you're going through right now, it too shall pass, and I certainly believe that to be true. And I certainly hope that people can look at my journey and if they're going through a tough time, go, you know what, he got through something. So I think I'll be all right. If he could do it, I could do it too.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope that's a factor in my life. If anything, I do as much as I can with trying to be vocal with people and just put it in a matter of fact terms, because the people that we may believe are perfect, the people that we may turn on these devices and TV channels and we say, oh, the person just looks like, not all of the times they are. Yeah. Everyone's going through something. And we may find out they're going through a tremendous amount of challenges. They just are really good at presenting their life in such a way. But everyone's going through something. We're all human beings. We're all just spiritual beings in this human experience, right?
I think people get caught up, they mistake who you are for who you are. They see a character you play on television or in a movie, and they automatically assume, oh, that's who he is. And they don't realize, listen, I'm not this character. I'm a regular person who has regular issues and regular this. And it's just so tough when you see things like that happen and people judge people on these levels, and they don't even get it. They have no clue what it's like. And while you are ridiculously fortunate, it doesn't mean you don't suffer the same emotional issues that regular people do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that, what you just said. There's also, I've gone through whatever I've gone through, and I've heard from people, even in my own family, who go, "Oh, listen, you'll be all right. Listen, you asked for this when you got into the arts, when you got into the business, to have this level of notoriety or to have this level of fame. It's part of it. You asked for to become a star." And a lot of people don't realize that's not what you may have gone after this art form to do. You didn't get into it to just become a star. Now, maybe it's different because you have a lot of Instagram influencers, people who just want to be stars. But when I got into the craft, I got into the craft of it, and to wanted to get into the arts. The fame and the notoriety was something that came later, but I don't think I was ready for it. And I don't think a lot of people are ready for it. There's no prep club. There's no blueprint. There aren't people. There could be an acting coach. You have a good manager, but no one is prepping you for what happens to the level of notoriety and fame, and how your life changes and how your privacy is non-existent. No one prepares you for being followed by paparazzi or people digging up the dirt about you and trying to present it and kind of gutting you. And no one gives you advice on how to deal with being violated publicly. These are things you have to learn as you go along. And even your top biggest giant stars, your Bragelinas and the top 5% stars have to deal with that. But they are human beings too, and a lot of people don't take that into account. That they actually have feelings. They actually have to go through a level of therapy. They actually have to take times that they're cutting a great deal of people off. They're going silent. They're having retreats. They're doing all sorts of things to deal with this level of fame and notoriety, and maybe even success. Now, a lot of them have the cachet that they can do that very comfortably. But there's a lot of actors, there's a lot of musicians who don't have that kind of financial security, who go to the grocery store just like you and I do, who have to put gas in their car just like, anyone else. And it's that part that people have a hard time separating, is the person that's doing a job and the person that's an excellent person. So what happens with me is I'll go through the airports, I go through a gas station, I'll go through a mall or go shopping, and people will say something and they'll be a certain way. And then I have to remind them the only way to do that is just going, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name?" And then all of a sudden people go, "What? Me? My name?" And then all of a sudden the dichotomy of the exchange changes, and they realize that they're actually in a conversation. And it does something, it breaks the objectification. You're not an object anymore. You're a human being. We're having a conversation now. And that's what is key. It's like us still being human. We're still human. How you doing, man? How's your day going? What'd you do today? Where you from? Those kinds of things. And that's the New Yorker in me. That's a good thing. And those are the people that I was taught from as well. The people I admire the most, the Lawrence Fishburnes, the Jim Carreys, the Bill Murrays. Those are the people who are real. They're real deal. The people who are fake Hollywood, I don't hang with them. I very rarely hang with actors. I find them to be a bad soup between insecurity and tremendous ego. It's a bad combination,
It happens. I think people get caught up. I think people get caught up in their fame. I happened to watch a trailer that you did called The Lost Princess, of the new movie you have coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching it and I'm going, God, it's amazing what we can do now. We can shift in and out of history seamlessly in things. And, you're in this new movie. How do they even approach you with this movie? Do they go, "Hey, listen, we have this great part for you"?
Well, this is the third film I've done with Hitcham Hadjiz. He's a Moroccan director. I love working with foreign directors because they're coming with a whole new set of storytelling. The film was written by Jean Camus, who's not relation to the famous philosopher and novelist Camus, but he's French nonetheless. And we had done a film some years ago called Redemption Day, which was kind of a storyline off the Taken trilogies. It was similar to that. I play an ex-vet. But this film, it was easy to say yes to because, first of all, I love Morocco, and we're going back to Morocco to shoot. It's a romantic, swashbuckling love story, which I haven't done a lot of.
No, you haven't.
So there you go with that. And then I play a pianist who's a pianist in a famous hotel bar there. And so it pushed me to deal with the other dimensions of a character, and also dimensions for myself as an actor to take on some more studying with piano, which I adore piano, but I'm a guitarist, really. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Honestly, I said, I can eat Moroccan food for the whole time and I can play piano. I mean, when do we start shooting, you know?
You're paying me to do this? Yeah.
And the women that I'm working around, Soraya Bragg, who's playing the princess, who I fall in love with, is an absolute dream to work with. And the actress playing my daughter, she was super, super sweet as well. And I just had a fantastic time filming this movie. And I hope for more. Maybe there's a sequel coming up. I'm not sure.
It happens, man. Who knows? You know, if it picks up, you know. They put it on the Hallmark Channel. It'll last forever.
Yes, it's true.
Every once in a while in the interview, I ask the selfish question. I have a daughter in college trying to get, become an actor and everything else. And I try to tell her the bad things, but, she isn't going to listen to her father. And as somebody who's gone through the process, what do you think the toughest thing about the industry is, or just surviving in it?
First, I have to pose the questions of what reasons that they want to get into the industry. Do they want to be a star, like we were talking about before, or do they enjoy the craft? If they want to get into the craft and the acting, then I urge them to read the plays. It's in the material, it's in the work. And there's so many great, playwrights, Sam Shepard, August Wilson. There's just loads of them. Then you have the classics. If you really want to get into acting, then you have to get into the material. You have to immerse yourself in the material and into the characters. And then you have to get with other actors and read the material. And that these other actors, like I remember seeing a Q&A with Sam Rockwell, and he was saying that even when he's not working on a film or a play, he's getting together with other actors and they're reading material. And they're imagining other things to just keep the instrument going. Now, if she really wants to be an actor, or the people that are asking me really want to be an actor, they will do that. If they want to be a star, that's something different. I can't give them much advice on how to be a star, but I can definitely say that these days is a lot easier than when I was coming about in New York, kicking around, going to acting school. You have more resources at your disposal than any time in history. You can make a whole movie with an iPhone. Steven Soderbergh's done it.
Yeah.
The director in England that did 28 Days Later, they just shot the sequel in one of the iPhones. You have more resources at your reach that you can shoot a whole movie and edit it in your computer and your laptop than we had when I was coming out. I remember running into Robert De Niro in the street, walking down the street, and I asked advice from him because I was going to Strasbourg at the time, and he was like, Gary, you got showbiz and backstage. Just get those papers and mail your headshot out to every casting agent, every director, and just keep on doing that. And over time, it's just the numbers, man. It's, something that'll break through for you. That was his advice to me. That was the only thing we had at that time. But these days, you have to have an imagination, and your imagination is going to be the difference with you being successful or you being having a longevity in the career that you're choosing. If it's a director, if it's a writer, if it's an actor, but your imagination is going to be everything, because you can imagine how you're going to be presented in this industry, and you can shoot it, and you can write it, and you can direct it. So it's a completely different game than it ever has been. And I urge people to charge and to take a hold of their own narrative and their own story and their own brand and present themselves the way that they wish to be seen, and not expect, as an actress, most especially as an actress, to present herself the way that she wants to be taken and the way she wants to be. Never imagine and never just think that people are going to accept you the way you want to be accepted. You have to do the work. You have to do the work, especially as an actress, because they're going to use you and you're not going to be happy with the results. So if you're talking to your daughter, tell her that. Tell her she needs to take charge and take responsibility with the way that she wishes to be perceived, because the industry is going to perceive her the way that they want to perceive her. And it may not align with the way that she wants to be perceived.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Gary. It's you have been an inspiration. You've just seen your journey has, I'm sure, made such an effect on so many people. And I wish you just the best of luck. And I wish you, to keep hitting that mountain every time you want it, man. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your kind words. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up today's show. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to my two co-hosts, my good friend, professional comedian James John, and my law partner, Craig Lind. This show is sponsored by Kaufman Lind. If you or someone you know has been in an accident, contact us at 407-500-JEFF or 407-500-5333 for a free consultation, or visit us at whenyouneedus.com.